4 days from now, U.S. and Chinese government officials will sit down for another strategic and economic dialogue. It is expected that they'll discuss currency and trade policies as they have in the past. Our next guest says there's another important topic they should talk about, allowing China to invest a lot more money in U.S. factories and other businesses. The Asia Society and Woodrow Wilson Center for International Studies reported yesterday that China has as much as $2 trillion to invest in companies globally, but U.S. policies may severely limit the funds that are invested here in this country. Joining us now is Orville Schell, the the director of the Center on U.S. China Relations at the Asia Society. So thanks for joining us. First of all, why are you concerned that we're going to miss out? You know, China has so much to invest in countries around the world over the next decade, and you think that we'll miss out on billions of dollars, really, in investments?
Well, traditionally, America's been very open to outside investment of all kinds. But I think because of the very complicated relationship with China, we've had a number of cases where efforts by Chinese to invest in this country have not worked out. Now, there are legitimate national security concerns sometimes, but I think we need to get clear about just what those are and embrace, indeed solicit, other kinds of Chinese investment. They have the money. We need the investment. It could create jobs, help rebuild infrastructure, and I think it's in American interest to do it.
They also have a lot of our debt. How does that complicate the picture right now?
Well, traditionally, until now, they've put a lot of their dollars in Treasury bills, Fannie Mae and whatnot, very low yield. They're starting to want higher yield investments, and that means mergers, acquisitions, and greenfield direct investments. And those are the things that the American Treasury Department reviews, and the committee to look into investment in the United States from abroad.
There is going to be the concern, obviously the middle of this country will react negatively whenever it thinks that somebody's trying to buy out America. Remember Japan and Rockefeller Center here. Do you see that as a problem with Chinese direct investment?
Well, remember what Japan did in the 80s. First of all, there was a reaction against their investment. Then they built car plants all over the South, created 700,000 jobs now for American workers. I think that is the model we should pursue with China. I think it's equally as plausible to establish a win-win kind of a relationship, again, with the caveat that certain kinds of investments in telecom, maybe military hardware, are a no-fly zone for Chinese investments.
I'm always amazed, not shocked and surprised, but still find it interesting that when it comes to making a dollar, that political tensions seem to go away and concerns over human rights or whatever, all of that seems to fall to the wayside. I mean, bottom line, if the Chinese are looking for returns and it's in the United States, won't they ultimately end up in the United States?
Yes, but right now in China, there's a kind of a climate where Chinese, don't have tremendous amount of experience and confidence in investing in very complex markets such as America. When they get turned down a few times, the atmosphere, the prevailing viewpoint is they don't want us there. And actually, they lose face when they get turned down. So that tends to push them away, and they tend to be a little more willing to go elsewhere.
But we had big meetings a few months ago between the Chinese and the U.S. Yeah. I mean, has anything really changed in the relationship?
Well, one of the things that we think in this report we've just issued that the U.S. ought to do is the President and Congress ought to write some sort of a declaration saying we actually welcome Chinese investment within the parameters of our national security concerns, and actually go out and look for it. That's what we do for other countries. We can use it, and they have the money. We should, I think, be as embracing as we can to have to maximize our own interest.
We got to run. Orville, thank you so much for coming in. Orville Schell of the Asia Society. We
Pleasure.
Appreciate it. Coming